Good morning, Lynn and Barbara. I must apologize first. I am at fault for messing this whole schedule of this particular video up. I double booked without knowing it because I didn't remember to transfer from the calendar that I carry around in my purse to the one that I sit at home. And then when I scheduled for the 25th, I scheduled it in my one I have at home and never looked at the one that was in my purse. So yeah, we got double booked. And I think this is the easiest way to take care of the situation. You will see on the sheet on the screen that the cards for September will be on Tuesday, September 14th at 1 p.m. or Wednesday, September 15th at 9:30 a.m. And of course, as usual, the videos will be available for anyone to watch after the Zoom classes. I believe for September, unless something changes, we are going to be having 2 Halloween cards and 2 fall cards. And I think the fall cards will either be a thank you card or a fall birthday card or a fall sympathy type of card, or something that we can interchange as both. The old host code is gone as of the 16th, and so the new host code starts now. It is still during celebration, so every time you make a purchase of $50, you can pick one of the celebration items. There is a beautiful Christmas paper in the celebration choices, so if you're going to be making some Christmas cards, you may like that. And then there's some beautiful dazzling glimmer paper, very, very sparkly. The new code is SQQDYYBE. Interesting. 2 Q's and 2 Y's. That's an odd number, but you know, that's the way it goes. So let me start out here by showing you the first card. And this is it. We are focusing this month on the Majestic Majestic Air stamp set and the Majestic Mountain dies. This is the card, and on the inside it's wishing you your best year yet. And I showed you that wrong. This one will have a banner on the top, which is very hard to see, so let me try to adjust the light. Yes, this is going to be gold embossed with happy birthday on the banner. This is gold embossing here on the piece of wood. Inside, wishing you your best year yet. Alright, so for this card I have a list of things that we need, and I will try to show them. We need the Mountain Air stamp set. And the Majestic Mountain dies. You will also need some In Good Taste Designer Series paper. And we are going to use the wood designs from that paper. The whole pack of 24 sheets of different patterns, but there is some lovely wood patterns in the packet. And this is the particular one that I used. You can also use, if you have left over, the 6x6 wood textures paper that was sold by Stampin' Up last year. That will work just as nice. Alrighty. You'll also need a foil sheet. I'm trying to find, what did I do with my list? My stack of things that I needed. You'll need a foil sheet. You will need the layering ovals dies. And I will show you the ones that I used. I used this largest one on the left and the second one in on the right, and they will nest very nicely for the front of the card. Alright, we're going to use some linen thread, which I had none of, so I substituted some natural polished hemp string. We are going to need some gold embossing powder. We are going to need the Best Year stamp set, as this is the sentiment right here that was wishing you the best year yet. This is the happy birthday to you that I put on the banner on the front. We're going to need a heat tool. And we are also going to need some buttons. So get out your mom's button box and pick yourself out one little kind of wood colored button. Although buttons are going to be included in your kit, and so will the die cut ovals. You might want to use the triple banner punch, which I use to cut the flag tail. Or you can use scissors to cut that out. You'll need some dimensionals, some very vanilla cardstock, some early espresso cardstock, and you'll need some Memento black ink, some garden green ink, some crumb cake ink, some old olive ink, and you can either use Seaside Spray, which is retired, or Balmy Blue ink, or markers for the sky. You'll also need some Versamark ink. Let's try turn that around here. Some Versamark ink that will go with that embossing powder. And I think that's all the supplies you will need. I hope, if I have done this the right way. Okay, so your early espresso card base will be your standard 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. I'm going to back off the zoom just a hair. Try that. See if that works a little better. Okay. And now we'll need to do focus. Focus, focus, focus. Let's try turning on a light over here. Let's try turning on a light over here. Nope. I'm going to go up a little. Up a little more. There we go. All right. And then you'll need your piece of gold foil. It is 5 1/4 by 4, from which you are going to cut out with the layering ovals dies, the larger of the two dies, and that would be the one that's the largest of the lower left. And then you also have some very vanilla cardstock for the inside, which is 5 1/4 by 4, and a very vanilla oval. Get it out of the bag here. Very vanilla oval, which is the second largest on the circles that are ovals that are on the right, and that will just layer it right inside of the gold here, and you can't see that at all. Okay, so there's your pieces, and then you'll also need a button, which is included in your kit, and I just picked about a 3/8 inch button with 2 holes. There she is. Okay, and a piece of linen thread or hemp twine. All right, so let's begin by, let's put this right here. Let's begin by stamping our inside sentiment on this card, and it is wishing you the best year yet. I am going to stamp it in Memento black ink. I have it in my Stamparatus / Misty. This particular time it is the Misty, but I have all kinds of things mounted up in my Stamparatus as well. So there's wishing you your best year yet. And we're going to set that off to the side. And we're going to take our tape runner and we're going to mount this on the inside. With a nice little 1/8 inch border all the way around. Okay. Alrighty. Then on the front of our card, we are going to take our wood grain piece and we are going to do some stamping on it. Is the single tree, double tree, and a single tree. So we're going to get this double tree and a single tree from the set. And we are going to stamp with Tuxedo Black Memento ink the shadow that will show up behind our gold trees. So you'll want to put your stamping pad or felt or some kind of padding behind here and stamp 2 trees, one here and then the single tree. Make sure you got it nice and inked up, single tree, like so. And then again, I'm going to stamp the double tree, like so. And that didn't stamp very well, so we'll try that again in the middle. Let's see if I can line that up. There we go. And middle. Okay. We are going to use the embossing buddy, and we are going to use the embossing buddy and tap 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 this a little bit and rub it in a little bit. Make sure the ink is nice and dry and all our fingerprints are off of it. Alrighty. Then we are going to take our cleaned off stamp and our Versamark. And we're going to stamp these images just a little bit to the left of the images that were on there. I think you want to go about a 1/16 of an inch. You're creating a shadow, so you're not creating something that's important to get positioned right over the top of each other. And on this one, same thing, a little bit to the left so that your shadow is going to show on the right side of your embossed image. So So if you just put the tree trunks next to each other, that's a pretty good way to do it. They should be touching. Your tree trunks should touch, but be a little bit to the left. That will give you just the right amount of shadow. Okay. I think this one needs a little bit more sticky in the middle. This stamp is not quite perfectly stamping. All right, that's all we need with the Versamark. Then we're going to take this is an old calendar I'm using for scrap paper. We're going to take our embossing powder and sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle it on. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle it on. This embossing powder has got some pieces of paper in it. I'm going to have to go through with a that's good. I'll go through with the tweezers and pull some of those out later. Let's put all the gold embossing powder back into its little container. And then we're going to take our heat tool, putting our white underneath this so we can see what's going on. And we'll emboss our gold trees. And there they go. Try this one. Alrighty, not too bad. I think I was a little bit too far over on the left of the first tree that I stamped. I could be in a little bit closer here. I didn't need quite as big of a shadow, but it will work. So the next thing that we need to do is to mount our gold piece, our wood piece on top of this gold piece. Alright. So we're going to put some stickiness of your choice. Use the Stampin' Seal. You can use Tombow glue. Or whatever else you like to use. And then once we get this mounted with a nice little 1/8 inch border all the way around, we are going to put some adhesive on the back sides so that we have something to attach our cord to. Alright. So, let's see, I want to go about 3/4 of the way up the first tree is where I would like to start putting that string. And I go around 4 times. 1, and make sure you squeeze it into the glue over there. Oh, this is not sticking. Go there. 2. Oh, 2. 3. And 4. Perfect. And I'm going to put some more adhesive on top of that just to make sure it stays down. And then we're going to mount this piece on our card front. So, where did I put the card front? There it is. Alrighty. So it's going to look like that. Alright. Now, you're wondering probably, well, what about that button? I thought you were going to put a button on there. Well, I am, but I'm going to show you a little easy way to put a button on. You're going to take your cord or your linen thread or your hemp. You could use baker's twine too. Your kit comes with some of this hemp. I like the natural colors. And you're going to wind it through the button just like so. Just in and then out. Cut off any excess. And then you're just going to tie a knot here. And you can tie just a half knot. Or if you want to tie a double knot, that's good too. Alright. And then you're going to take a glue dot, a mini glue dot, and we're going to put a glue dot on the back of that button. Okay. And we're going to stick that all the way over to the left. Alright. So much so far for the front of that card. Alright, then the next thing we're going to work on is our image. We have our very vanilla oval. Okay, so we're going to take our garden green, our crumb cake ink, I'm sorry, and our stamp that is the Detailed Mountains. And we are going to stamp the Detailed Mountains across this oval. About 3/4 of an inch from the bottom, like about so. Alrighty, and then we're going to clean off our stamp, and we're going to turn the mountain stamp over to the reversible side, which is a flat kind of image. And we are going to ink up the center of the stamp again. I think this time I'll try to stamp it off so it's not quite so dark. And then we're going to turn it upside down. and stamp it so that the image of the mountain top kind of goes in the lower portion of that image. Right, I'm going to clean that off again. Now we are going to take and make ourselves a mask by cutting out of a piece of computer paper or light colored paper or post-it note, just like this, using this die from the Majestic Mountains dies. Alrighty, then we're going to take that mask, which I've used a couple times on a couple other cards, so I am just reusing it. I put some double-sided removable tape on the back side so that I can reuse it, and we're going to lay that on there so that just a little edge of that crumb cake mountain is exposed just a little. So you see that dark line, you're doing good, but you don't want it gigantic. And then we're going to take our balmy blue ink and we're going to color in some sky. Now you can also do this with markers, with blends, with an aqua painter and water. And if you get a couple little dark spots on here, that's kind of good because it makes it look a little bit more cloudy. See how that looks like a different color of clouds in the sky over here. Alright. Then you're going to remove the mask. Alrighty. And then the thing I'm going to do next, close up the balmy blue. We won't need it anymore right now. We may need it a little bit more, but not right now. We are going to take the other image from that die, which is what I call the tree line, and we're going to stamp it lightly with garden green. Alright, so we're going to use the detailed side. It's reversible also, so you don't want to use the flat side, because if you use the flat side, this is what you get. It's too much. We're also going to stamp off so we don't get too much. We'll see anyway what it looks like. I do not think we will need to stamp off. I just had the wrong side of that stamp last time and it seemed really dark. But we're going to put this so the trees are just kind of starting to pop up about the same place that reflection of the mountain in the water is. All right, perfect. All right, once again, we're going to clean that stamp off. We should not need that stamp anymore, so we can put it away. The next ones we're going to use is the single green tree. And I want to stamp two single trees in Old Olive on the left, And we want to make this so that it looks like they're in the foreground. So we're going to stamp it so that the top of the tree goes up in the air. Just like so. Alright, I'm going to stamp two of them like that one. This one down a little bit more, but right next to it. Good. And then one more kind of right in line with the peak of this mountain right here. Right, oh, let's get a little inky, more inky on there, right about there. Okay, and then we're going to clean it off. We're going to change the color of the ink to garden green. And we're going to stamp two garden green trees on either side of this tree all the way over here on the right. Kind of up a little so that the top of the tree is in the air above the mountain. One here. And another one a little bit further down so that it is kind of in the place where those two trees join up. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Actually, I didn't do this on the original, but we're going to put one more in here just to fill in that little bit of a gap. That looks a little better. Okay, I'll kind of try to get this on a clean section of the paper so you can see what I did. Alright, now if you have Stampin' Blends, this would be a great time to use them, especially if you have Balmy Blue, and I'll tell you why. Our regular ink is a water-based ink. So if you go over another water-based ink with another water-based ink, the two are going to blend and smudge and smear. But if you take our Stampin' Blends, and I'm going to use light Balmy Blue. If you take our Stampin' Blends and go over this, you can color this and it will not smear the original image at all. Alright, so I'm going in here where there's gaps in the trees, and this will make it look like you're driving up on a lake and you can see the water between the trees. Alright. So that's what I'm doing there. And then I'm also, just because I want the shadow of that tree, or the shadow of the mountain to show up a little bit more, I'm going to take light crumb cake and kind of go in over this where this image of this shadow of this tree is, or mountain is, I'm sorry. And you don't want to make it like straight lines. You want to kind of color sloppy so that it looks like the water is in there. Okay? So one more thing on this particular image, and that's going to be the birds. Birds are this tiny itty bitty little stamp in the set. It has 3 birds on it, and you want to make sure they're right side up so that you aren't having your birds doing dive bombing, which I did on the first try that I did. And we want some birds up here in the air over the mountains, and I think one over here a little bit. I'm going to pretend they're eagles soaring, and they're soaring up here too above the treetops. Alright, So that looks better. Okay. Then we're going to take our golden oval. And let me get a clean sheet of something for under here. This color seems to work very well. And we're going to put some adhesive, Tombow, seal, tear and tape, whatever is your favorite. We're going to mount that on the center of the oval. We're going to get out some dimensionals. And I have some tiny ones here. They don't need to be tiny, but I am going to put these so the stickiness kind of is going to eventually straddle that string that we have on the front of the card. All right. Let's see, and I don't like to have my labels sag, so I put, if I had used bigger dimensionals, wouldn't need as many. But I don't like to put any sag behind my labels. I like them to stay stuck when they're supposed to be. So in saying that, now I have to get all the little papers off of all these little ones. And I know there's a lady who takes her pokey tool and just stabs them and pulls them up. I can't get it to work so good for me. My fingernail seems to work the best. And you can tell when yours are done when you have them off, because they're shiny. And they're not shiny when the sticker is still on them. So I have one more here that needs to have its to be made shiny. And then we're going to take our card front, and we're going to put this label right in the center of the card next to the button. All right. You need to make this happy birthday banner. And I took a 3/4 inch by 3 inch piece of the wooden paper, a little bit lighter so that it has some contrast. And I stamped that with Versamark in the stamping positioner tool, Stamparatus, which is busy at this time, so I'm using my off-brand version right here, and Versamark. Alrighty. And then, of course, we need to emboss it with gold. And when we do, it will come out looking like so. And then I just cut a flag tail in the corner of this, but you can use the triple banner punch. And insert that in there to where you want that punch to just your piece will look more like this. So you want it so both of these corners, this corner and this corner, just touch the outside of that triangle, like so. And then you'd punch, and voila, you have a nice even flag tail. Alright, so when it's embossed, you also want to pop this banner up with dimensionals. And once again, bigger ones would have made this job a little bit easier, but I will grab them out of the drawer for our next card. But right now, to make things speedy, I'm just going to use this one, this size. These are our mini dimensionals, which are really nice if you have something really small too. And then I'm going to place that just to the right of the treetops and across the top, nice and even on the card. And now your card is finished.